Hey guys, it's Corrupt coming at you the first episode of Weekly DraftKings Tips. So today we're going to kick it off with week 1 of the NFL season. It's right around the corner. I know you guys are excited. I certainly am myself. So we're going to hop on into the quarterback picks for week 1. So this week I went with the value player of Dak Prescott. He's going to be owned by a lot of people, I'm assuming. His price comes in at $5,000. That is the lowest possible quarterback price you can get on DraftKings. He had a really good preseason, and he also has a great receiver in Dez Bryant. He's playing a below average defense in the New York Giants. I would expect him to score around 15 to 20 points, with possibly going upwards towards 25. And I'm sure he'll definitely be able to save you guys enough money to go big on your receivers for the PPR games. Another good thing about Dak Prescott is the passing game should definitely open up with Ezekiel Elliott's run ability. I think he'll definitely end up being a good player to take, and you guys may want to definitely keep an eye on him as your value pick for the week. So hopping on over to the safe player this week, I think Matthew Stafford is a great choice. His price is $7,200. He's kind of mid-price range. He's not too expensive. A thing to note, he does not have Calvin Johnson this season, but the Lions did acquire a couple good receivers in the offseason in Marvin Jones and Anquan Bolden. They're playing against the Colts, and according to the Vegas odds, this game is projected to score 50.5 points, and it's the highest scoring game projected for the week, so I definitely think it's a good idea to pair a quarterback and a receiver from this game. The risky player for this week for me is Jimmy Garoppolo, and the only reason I'm saying he's risky is because he just hasn't played. He's just been a backup his whole career pretty much. His price is only $6,200, so he's not very expensive. He definitely could put up a good amount of points. He does have Edelman and Gronkowski to help him out, and he's probably going to be lower owned the first week. He could end up going up for the next couple weeks until Tom Brady's back, but the first week I feel like people aren't going to give him too much of a chance, so you could take the risk on him. He may be able to pay off. He probably has a set score of around 12 to 16 points, I would say, this week, but I could see him getting upwards of 20 or more. Definitely a risk, though. So now let's hop on over to the running back position. The value player for me this week is definitely Latavius Murray. The reason I chose him is his price is only $5,600. He's much cheaper than your average running back. In 2015, he averaged 13 points per game, and he had 2 games that were over 20 points. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but I feel like he will end up being a much more consistent player this year, and he'll definitely be a player to look at throughout the season. He's playing against the New Orleans defense, who was ranked 30 last year against running backs, and I definitely think he should be able to put up a solid 15 or more points. My safe player this week has got to be Lamar Miller. His price is $7,000. He's kind of towards the upper price range, but not too high. He should be a good pick. I think pretty much everybody should take him. He'll probably be fairly highly owned. He averaged 15 points per game last season in Miami, and he should improve on those numbers this year as he got traded to Houston. My risky player this week is definitely going to be Jamaal Charles. His price is $7,100, which is not a lot for Jamaal Charles, but he is coming off of an ACL tear in 2015 during week 5, which ended his season. The only reason why I put him as a risk is he still is towards the upper end of the price range, and if he does end up getting limited reps, as he has not played in the preseason at all, he would just be coming back first game in after that ACL tear. I don't know, it could be a risk, but I definitely think you guys should keep an eye on him. He could end up putting up a lot of points. 4 games prior to him being injured in week 5, he put up 20 points or more in all of them. So I definitely think he could put up at least 20 or so this week if he does get the amount of reps he deserves. So hopping on over to the wide receivers, guys. My value player for this week, guys, is going to be Marvin Jones Jr. His price is $4,600. He's definitely on the cheaper end of the receivers. He was traded to the Lions in the offseason from the Bengals, and I could see him putting up a good amount of points this week. The reason why I put him at the value position is he's rather cheap, and I would expect around 10 to 14 points with definitely a possible upside of around 18 to 20. Now remember, I said Stafford would be a great quarterback to take because their game is projected to be the highest scoring game. I think Marvin Jones Jr. is the stack to go for this game because Golden Tate, he may just cost a little bit too much for me this week. So Marvin Jones, I'm definitely going to have in my lineups. My safe player this week is going to be Sammy Watkins. His price is $6,900, and I think that's definitely a fair price. He's not too expensive for a wide receiver who averaged 18 points per game in 2015. So Tyrod Taylor is entering his second season as a starter, and the two of them should improve their numbers on last season. He's playing against Baltimore, who at this point just seem to be completely lost for hope. They're clueless, and I feel like Sammy Watkins could definitely put up 20 or more points. My risky player to take this week is going to be Corey Coleman. His price is $5,100, which is fairly low for a wide receiver, and I definitely think he could put up some big numbers for you guys. So he was the top-rated wide receiver to go in the draft this year. He went 15th, I believe, to the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns also acquired RG3 during the offseason. So for me, I feel like Corey Coleman could be the right player that RG3 needs to just have a much better year this season. The first week of DraftKings, normally rookies are a little bit less owned because the average player doesn't really know about them. So if his numbers are going to be there this week, he's definitely a player to take. Another good reason to take him is they are playing against the Philadelphia Eagles this week, who are just also lost for hope and are probably going to have a terrible season. And I feel like RG3 and Corey Coleman could definitely hook up for 1 or 2 touchdowns this week. So moving on to tight ends, the spot where I personally like to save most of my money, but try to get a value player, that's for sure. So the value player I'm going to be taking in most of my lineups this week is going to be Dwayne Allen. His price is $3,200, which is pretty low. He did move into the number 1 position as Kobe Fleener left for New Orleans this season. And as I said, guys, the Indianapolis versus Detroit game is projected to be the highest scoring game this week. So I definitely think Dwayne Allen, for the price he's definitely a guy for you guys to take. My safe player to take this week, guys, is going to be Travis Kelce. His price is $5,000, and he is the second highest priced tight end, but he's going to definitely provide a consistent amount of points for you guys. So he's playing at home against San Diego, where I could see him getting upwards of 8 receptions, especially with Jamaal Charles being his first game back from an injury. Expect around 14 to 16 points if you guys want to spend the money on Travis Kelce at the wide receiver position, but personally, I still do like to save money at this spot. My risky player to take this week is going to be Jason Witten. His price is $4,100, and I could see him getting some good production this week under Dak Prescott as QB. The only thing that I think puts him at a risk is that Prescott connected with Dez Bryant a lot of times during the preseason, and Jason Witten being at tight end, he's not the highest targeted guy on the team, and I could see him possibly putting up a lot of points by giving an outlet pass to Prescott, or Prescott could end up folding under the pressure and not put up many points at all, which then in turn would hurt Jason Witten. So moving on over to the defense/special teams, guys, I think the value this week is going to be the Minnesota Vikings. Their price is $3,100. It's still a risky pick because defenses, they always kind of are. It's hard to pick exactly which ones are going to be the ones to take because they don't really score a lot of points. I could see them getting upwards of possibly 10 points, but they are playing against the Tennessee Titans, who acquired Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray during the offseason and could possibly put up some pretty good points offensively. In this matchup, I definitely think Marcus Mariota is going to be the swing player. The safe defense to take this week is the Houston Texans, price of $3,200, not the cheapest, but defenses are definitely hit or miss. There's a good chance of them being one of the top scoring defenses this week against Chicago, who is definitely a very iffy offense. They are playing at home, and don't forget, guys, J.J. Watt equals safety. My risky defense this week is going to be the New York Giants, price of $2,700. It's a pretty cheap defense, and it could possibly put up points. It's a risk to take because they are playing up against Dak Prescott, who has not started a game in the NFL yet during the regular season. He is a rookie quarterback, and he may end up folding under the pressure. If the Giants are able to start forcing turnovers towards the beginning of the game, they could be able to rack up a couple extra points and could be the defense to take this week. So last but not least, guys, we have the flex position / a couple more options to think about in your other positions. So my quarterback option this week would be Russell Wilson. His price is $7,900. He's towards the upper end of the price range, but it could be worth it for the amount of points that he could offer for you guys. He will definitely put up 20 points minimum with a potential of possibly breaking 30. He's a good QB option if you're looking to stack players. He averaged 23 points at home last season, and going into week 1, playing at home, I think he could be a quarterback to take. My running back option this week is going to be Doug Martin, $6,200. He's a middle range price, and he could definitely put up some good numbers. His numbers should improve this season as the offense gets a little bit more experienced and a little bit older. His last regular season game, he played against Carolina, and he scored 18 points without scoring a single touchdown. If he can punch a touchdown in this week, I could see him breaking into the 20s. Expect around 15 points or so to be safe. My wide receiver option this week is going to be Doug Baldwin. His price is $6,600, which is definitely not that expensive for being a number 1 receiver. If you guys decide to take Russell Wilson, Doug Baldwin is definitely a stack player to take for you guys. The two of them could easily connect for a touchdown or two. and they are playing at home against Miami, which could lead to a lot of points. He averaged 25 points per game in the last 7 regular season games, and I could see him climbing up into the 30s for points this week. So that's going to be it for this week, guys. Hopefully you guys can use some of the picks I had and suggestions I had to win some money this week on DraftKings. If you guys are new around here, make sure you guys drop a subscription. I'm going to be posting videos about this every single week for the rest of the NFL season, so hopefully we can all win some money together. So once again, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been your boy Corrupt, and see ya.